Okay, so we're going to make some lacto-fermented hot sauce. It's super easy to make. It's super delicious. And why not just use straight peppers? The fermentation process sort of rounds off a little bit of the sharpness of the capsaicin heat. It's still going to be quite hot, but it just kind of rounds off the edges, if that makes any sense. Number two, it lasts longer. There's a little more lactic acid, obviously, so we're going to bring the pH down a little bit. And it really provides more depth of flavor. So sure, we could just blend these up with some vinegar and some salt and make a hot sauce, but the reality is we're going to get a much better product if we ferment these first. And so the first thing we need to do, obviously, is remove the stems. And just equipment-wise, obviously I need a knife to cut them. I have a scale. That's pretty necessary in all of these ferments. We've got salt, some water because we're going to make a brine, a jar to ferment them in. You don't necessarily need these things, but a glass weight is quite handy, and as is an airlock. You can always use a regular lid and just continuously burp it, letting that CO2 out, because there will be some pressure buildup, which could cause the jar to explode. So obviously, safety first. So let's just move this scale out of the way, and we're just going to chop up these peppers here. Just going to remove the stems just to make blending easier, and it just increases the surface area. We could really chop these up, but I don't think it's necessary. I just like to remove the stems and just any matter that we don't want ground up in the final sauce, really. Seeds are fine, membrane's fine. We're going to pulverize all those, and they're just going to add a little bit of heat and, quite frankly, a little bit of flavor as well. Okay, so we've got these peppers all chopped up. The next step is we're going to employ the scale here. Set it to 0. Oh, put the jar on first. Shouldn't be too late. Nope, we're good. Okay, and just throw the peppers in. And so we've got 102 grams, so we're going to round that to 100. So in all of these, we want about 2.5% salt per weight brine, or in total. And so we're going to add some water in here. This is just, this has to be filtered water, by the way, or spring water. Chloramine is going to kill all the microbes we want, and that's obviously not going to be conducive to a good ferment. So I'm going to add this in, and I'm going to try and go for a round number, so I don't need to use a calculator. But I do want these to be submerged. I don't need too much. And so let's just get to 400. So that makes it pretty easy here. So I need 10 grams of salt. I set it back to 0. You want to use sea salt, kosher salt. All salt is sodium chloride, but with some trace minerals, and that's fine as long as it's natural. Table salt's got iodine and other stabilizers in it. That's not really conducive to a good ferment. They are antimicrobial in nature, iodine especially, and so we want to be using natural salt. So once again, 2.5. So we're going to get ourselves to 10 grams. We don't need to worry about too much about it dissolving immediately. It will do its part on its own. Glass weight goes in. This jar is way too big. That's fine. I want those to be mostly submerged. And then the airlock here, I'm going to put a bit of water in. I could use salt water, but I'm not too worried about a little bit getting in if it goes in. You could put vodka in there or any neutral spirit if you really are paranoid. Salt water is fine. Sanitize, like a Star San or something, is also fine, but I don't think it's necessary. Not much is going to get drawn back in here. We're not looking for a vacuum. We're going to be in a pressurized environment. And so that's it. Right there we have peppers that are going to ferment for about 7 days. And then we'll come back and take a look at them. Okay, so we're back with our fermented peppers, and we are ready to finish off this sauce. And so as you can see here, there's a little bit of cloudiness in there. So and you can see at the bottom there, there's definitely some what we call postbiotics, so some non-viable bacteria and various waste products. So that gives us an indication that we have had some fermentation going. So we can go ahead and open this, and it's going to have quite a nice odor to it. It's not quite like just peppers, and it's not quite like just peppers and salt. There definitely is a little bit of, I don't want to call it funk, but there's kind of like a little bit of funk, a little bit of sort of roundness. And so, what's happened here is it's the same as any lacto-ferment. So some leuconostic bacteria has come in, lower the pH a little bit. Lactobacillus has taken over and done most of the work. And if we were to really leave this for a while, we'd probably get a bit of pediococcus involvement, which can unfortunately make some of the brine a little bit sort of not necessarily slimy, but almost mucousy. It's not harmful, it's just kind of off-putting. But this has been going for a little over a week, and that's probably about the right amount. The unfortunate thing about a large jar like this is getting the glass weight out could be a bit of a challenge. It's not really an issue though, because I'm going to pour it through this strainer into a bowl so we can collect some of the brine. Now, just a word, there's a lot of advice around using, so I can get this glass weight out like that. There's a fair amount of advice around using metal in these things. If you use stainless steel, you're going to be fine. It's salt, it's acid, fine. It's not going to totally corrode your kitchen utensils right away. Maybe prolonged exposure might be a bit of a problem. I know with kefir, it's slightly a different issue because supposedly something in the metals can harm the grains. I'm not going to say that for sure. I'm still doing some research on that, but we'll get to that another time. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we don't need the jar anymore. We don't need the airlock. We do need a bottle or something to put it in. A jar is fine, a plastic container, whatever you like. I use these old shoyu jars, bottles rather, mainly because I can put this lid on here and then it kind of just controls the flow, so I don't end up with massive amounts of hot sauce, especially if it's kind of liquidy. And then what I'm going to do is use a high-speed blender and just pop these in. And how much liquid you want is kind of up to you. And so if you put all this brine in, you're going to have a very salty sauce. So I like to just kind of do something like that. In this case, I'm going to use a little bit of distilled vinegar just because I want a slightly vinegary sauce. So I'm going to start with that and plug your ears. Okay, so I've run this for about a minute. I really wanted to make sure that I pulverized all the seeds and membranes. Word of caution, when I open this, I'm probably going to cough. You're volatilizing a lot of capsaicin and compounds, and so it can be a little bit triggering. It's fine. It's going to be pretty funny. So I'm going to try not to go on like coughing in anticipation. Oh my God. So what I want to do is just look and see if that consistency is what I'm after, and it is, so I don't really need to add anything else. I could give it a taste, which I will in a second. And there's the coughing already. And I'm just going to pour this through a funnel into my jar. I keep calling it a jar, but it's a bottle because it's the same thing, vessel. And then what I can do, if I feel like it, which I do, just put a little bit of vinegar or brine and just rinse out the blender, and that's going to be maybe a bit too thin. Get rid of that. Pop this on, pop the lid on, and there we have it. Lacto-fermented hot sauce, ready to go.